So we have Kathy. Hello, Kathy, and myself.
Hi, all.
And we have Elizabeth Stewart with us. She's a writer for When Calls the Heart and other things, which you're going to share with us, aren't you?
I certainly will. Sure.
Thank you. We're like really excited that you're here because you have like an interesting story. I did my research and I was like, oh, I would love to have her on.
Oh, what did you find out about me?
Well, I didn't realize. So you wrote a wonderful series that I watched years ago, forgot about it, and happened to get my hands on it again. I'm like a big Sherlock Holmes fan, and any version of Sherlock Holmes I just love since I was a young girl. And you had a series that was the adventures, I think that it was of Shirley Holmes. Like she's a
Shirley
distant.
Holmes.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh. And wait, one of the first episodes, because I was like, wait a minute, that's when young Ryan Gosling was on. And yes, he was like on one of the first episodes. They're good.
I met him on set. He was this just lovely young guy. He must have been 14 or 15 at the time. And he was playing this really heavy thug,
Yeah.
but he was such a sweetheart. It was anyway, that was my one brush with a star.
No. Now, I was curious, like, if you could briefly tell us, like, your little journey of like how you, well, I shouldn't say little because that sounds condescending, your journey of how you got here.
Well, it's a long journey because I'm getting up there in years, so it's been a while. I started out in information programming and television, working on a magazine series as an entertainment booker. Basically, was my
Oh,
last job there. And actually, speaking of celebrities, part of my job was to go out with the crew and to meet the celebrity and set up that end of the interview. The interviewer would be in studio. But I met a few people that way. And there was one, I won't say the name, but one very big star at the time I had to go and meet. And I was so excited. But he was it was such a mill for him. They had interviewers coming through every 5 minutes, and he
yeah.
didn't really look me in the eye. It was like,
Hmm.
and nothing against him. I completely understood that. But my takeaway was, if you want to be in entertainment, don't report on it, do it.
Cool.
So that was sort of a starting point for me in taking a chance. And I'd always wanted to write and was sort of afraid to take that chance, but that's where I started.
Actually, that's a good place to start.
Are you based in Canada?
Yes, I live in Vancouver, Canada.
And so your career, when you talk about your career, it's all been in Canada. Okay.
It has. Well, except for some years of When Calls the Heart, I was working in Los Angeles. The story room was in Los Angeles. But yeah, I live about an hour from set here in the lower mainland of British Columbia. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
As the writer, when they're working on your episode that you wrote, do you need to be on set?
No, because the story room has been so remote. First, it was in Los Angeles, and then during COVID, we all started working from our homes,
Mhm.
and it sort of remained that way. So, no, we don't need to be on set, but we do meet with the crew through Zoom and the director, and we share thoughts about how to best realize the episode and what we were thinking in the story room when we were writing it. And the director always brings some great new perspective, and the cast, too, always brings a great perspective. So it's very collaborative that way.
Okay.
And that was one of my questions. I was thinking, we've heard about the writers' room before. We've had Derek and Allie on, and once in a while in the comments and chats, Peter will pop in, that kind of thing. So they keep us abreast of it. But one of the things I was really curious about is, so you wrote episode 4, which, by the way, right, it was like a fan favorite. It was
That was
amazing.
such a privilege to get to write that one.
The whole, and Rosemary and Lee, I love them, but all of it was wonderful. Some of the scenes I laughed out loud. Great sense of humor in all of it. But so, how do you know, like, who wrote before you and after you, that you're all on the same page, like it flows? It's got to be hard to do.
You mean on the other episodes coming
Yes, like
before and
how.
after?
Yes, how does make sure that 3 flows,
Consistency.
yeah, into 4 that flows into 5? How do you do that?
Well, actually, we all write on all of the episodes.
Okay.
So we do a couple of drafts on our own when
Gotcha.
our name is on that episode, but it takes many, 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 many drafts to get the show to the episode to where we're satisfied that it's
Okay.
ready to go to camera. So we're all writing on all of the drafts, and we're all reading and commenting and giving notes to each other the whole time. So and at the beginning of the season, we break the season arc together. So we know where we're going. We come up with the big stories of the season, and we talk about which episodes, which beats of those stories will be in each episode. So it is very much a team effort.
That's good. That makes sense, right? And you all are like there's quite a few of you um together for a long time. How long have you been writing for When Calls the Heart?
This is my 7th season. My first season was season 5.
Yes, I thought so. Yeah,
Yes,
so
so
you've
yeah,
been
I've been very, very fortunate to be with the show that long.
right. And I know in season 5. Oh,
Oh yeah,
that
we
that
were-
that I one episode I still can get like chills just thinking about it. So
Elizabeth,
go ahead, Kathy.
so how do you get to be a writer for When Calls the Heart? Do you have to turn in some written material? Do they know about you? They sought you out, or how does that work?
pretty much, yes. I mean, you build a career and you build credits. I mean, you probably know IMDb, right?
Mhm.
The database.
Mhm.
So your credits are there, and anyone can go on and see what your background is. But yes, you also have to provide samples of your writing to a new show so they can see if it's a fit for them, if they like the writing. So that's how, and it's a question of building and networking. Yeah, and I guess being self-directed too, about being clear in your own head about what you want to write, what genres you are best at, and what you're really drawn to. I think it's hard to be a generalist. It's hard to move from sci-fi to family and romance, right? So I don't know. Is that true? I'm questioning myself now. Traditionally, that's true, but maybe it isn't
Being
true.
on our podcast, we make you introspective. So, were you a fan of When Calls the Heart before you became a writer?
Oh yes, yeah, I was aware of it, and it's such a delightful show. Yes, so I jumped at the chance to be a part of it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I love it. I've been a fan since day one. I've the day it aired, I watched. I mean, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And that's how Kathy and I met because we met on a fan page and she wrote something and I was like, "Oh, that's such great insight. Do you want to come on and talk about it?" And then people are like, "Come back again." So then that's how we started the podcast. And then I made sure I had, because you can't have everybody on. So I had to go look up the publicist and who's in charge and make sure we had the okay. And otherwise it'd just be the two of us talking and that's fun. But we
Nobody wants to hear just the two of us talking.
yes, we went little like you fall in love with the show, so you want to know everything that you can possibly know about it, all the details.
People want to know how the cake is made, not just
Yes,
we enjoy this cake, but how did that come to?
Sure. Well, and I think it's fantastic that a whole new community came out of the community When Goes the Heart, right?
yes,
Yes.
yes. So now here's another question that I have about continuity. Okay, you write the script, you got it all on that going on, they act it out, they direct, they do whatever, and then things get cut and wind up not in. Do you know that? Do you get to see it? Like, do you realize, oh, they cut that scene out, or oh, that's where so and so said this or that? Do you realize that?
Oh, sure. Yes,
Yeah.
you'll notice that something is missing. But I mean, there are good reasons for that. Sometimes there's just too much material and sacrifices have to be made to bring it down to the broadcast length. Other times they realize something is redundant or the point's already been made when they're in the editing process. So it's about creating, you want to have more footage than the length of the show to
Right.
go in
That
there
makes
to
sense.
make choices, right?
Right.
And to whittle it down to the essence and make it a nice, tightly told story without repetition or
Right. That kind of I highlighted one of our guests that's here a question because it's kind of like on the topic of what we're doing, and you kind of answered it too. But Arlene is asking, do the writers, directors, and producers view the episodes that are aired, being that scenes are deleted, cut, etc.? And do you feel your work is really reflective of what was written? So that's a big question.
Yes, I do feel it's reflective of what was written.
Right.
The writers I'm a co-EP, so I'm not an executive
Right.
producer.
Right.
So at my level, I'm allowed to see the cuts, but I don't give comments on the cuts.
Okay.
But it's very instructive to see. And we also see the dailies,
That's true. That's true.
scenes
Yes.
that are shot each day, which is
Yeah.
very instructive to see how a story is working out, how it's being interpreted on screen, where we can take it. So yeah, no, yes, I feel my work is reflected, and I'm very pleased with that.
This might be a spoiler, and I you could just answer yes or no, and it's from me. Did you write any of the other episodes that we will see? Like, will your name be tagged on it, like this, like 4 was?
I think 7
Okay, coming
was
up.
my second one
Okay,
in
all
season
right.
10. Yeah.
Okay, so we have that to look forward to. So do you tend to write with a lot of humor? Because there was humor all over in that episode, and yet there was also, like I said, it was a roller coaster, but not in a negative way, like a I love roller coaster, yippee kind of way. Like it was tender-hearted, and then it was you were laughing, and then you were like serious and worried. And but I there was a lot of, do you agree, Kathy? Did you find a lot of
I
humor
did.
in that
I did.
episode?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm
And
glad.
I love that. I love the humor, the romance. Sometimes there's mystery. I love it when it can all kind of balance out. To me, that's a really well done program.
Well, I mean, I think that's what each of us aims for when we're writing an episode, is to strike the right balance of all of that. And yes, I mean, it's such an amazing cast, and there's so much comedic talent to
There is.
play with there. So, I mean, that's just a sheer joy to write a scene for Bill and know exactly how he's going to deliver the line. Or Rosemary and Lee, you
Yeah.
know what they'll do with that scene,
Yes,
right? So
yes,
it's so inspiring to shoot for hit for the fences with the humor, and and then see what they do with it.
true.
Yeah,
And,
I do enjoy lightness
and
too.
with this group that's been together for so many years, their chemistry is just off the chart. That they can work together and take the material and just really knock it out of the park. I think that's wonderful.
They do indeed. Yeah.
So, what do you think about this season? Like, what makes it different from last season, if anything? Just general sense, mood. I'm not asking for like a detail.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, I think there's a tremendous cohesion in this season. I think
Okay.
things that happen in episode 1 track all the way through the season.
Oh,
And I
okay.
love that. There haven't been many seasons exactly like this that I've worked on. So I really appreciated that under Lindsay Sturman's guidance, that we were able to achieve that. So
Right.
that's a standout for me.
Okay.
There's a great balance, as you say, of emotion, some mystery, and some political intrigue. I mean, there's
Oh.
all sorts of stuff that's going to be coming.
Oh. Spoiler. You just gave a spoiler yourself.
It's a vague
I
spoiler.
didn't say what it was.
No, it's a good spoiler. It's a good one. I'm going to take a question. It's a good question. It's from Robin. And she says, while now writing season 11, will the writers and directors pay attention to fans' reactions to season 10 and adjust if needed, or stick to the scripts in hand?
We always pay attention to the Hearties.
Okay.
I mean, this is a fortunate situation that we are writing
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
so we are able to gauge reactions. We do have season 11 quite mapped out.
Okay.
We think the fans are going to love it. We're loving it. We think it's a very strong season. And we think season 10 is a very strong season as well. But in answer to the question, yes, we try to anticipate what the Hearties will think and what they'll want to see. And we do listen. Both
Okay.
of those things.
I love that answer. You listen. No, seriously, you hear it, you listen, but that doesn't necessarily mean you move things around or change things in response to that. It's just that you're acknowledging that, you take everything into account, because everybody's got an opinion.
You can't please all of the people all of the time. And
Exactly.
that's the whole role of showrunner. Lindsay's role is to have a steady hand on the tiller, right? And which doesn't mean we don't listen, but it does mean we keep the direction. We're not all over the place.
You guys have a vision and you stick to that vision, and sometimes you may modify it or tweak it one way or another, but you got to focus on your own vision.
Yeah. Yes.
It feels like to me, because I'm a teacher, it feels like to me I have like this great lesson plan. My partner and I, like, she teaches the same subject on the other team. So we plan down to everything that we're going to do and what we're going to say and what we're bringing in. And then you get there and something happens and a child asks a question, and then you're like, oh, I got to go with the flow a little bit and just tweak it just a little bit more. It kind of reminds me of that. Like, you think it's going to be one way, and then maybe from the actors, just something, the way they say something, and you add it in. Right?
Oh, very much so. Very much so. There's definitely a feedback loop going on there. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jen is giving you a compliment, and you've been so gracious with us. I love it because I know we've got you for like about 20 minutes, and I do have favorites I want to ask you, all your favorites. Jan says, I believe that When Calls the Heart success is due partly because the writers, etc., hear what the Hearties are looking for or saying, and she's thanking you.
Great. Well, thank you, Jen, for your input. It's a gift to have this amazing resource of the Hearties.
I know. I know you've always been good, always very, very good. I think maybe that's why it's going into its 11th season, because there's such a closeness, like people listening to each other. Arlene says, how do the writers agree on character concepts or changing emerging character details and keeping the essence of the character true?
It's a great question. Well, we talk and talk and talk and talk. We spend hours on Zoom talking through characters. Invariably, you start pulling in experiences from your own lives. And the whole point of it is to get to an emotion that's true. And in fact, you find yourself sharing some very intimate things that you might not ordinarily share with a group of people, but it's all about making emotions true, creating emotional truth and psychological truth for the characters, and for those specific characters. How would this character react in this situation? And we're so blessed again to have this great cast of very distinctive characters. Everybody has their own personality and approach to life.
It's true. It's good. I love all in each character. I love everyone. Like, I find each one important. I know it originally started out with being about Elizabeth and her journey, and then all the town around her supporting her, and then falling in love with Jack, and then it grew from there. When that storyline ended, it grew, and it's more of like an ensemble cast. But I remember Derek coming in, and someone had asked about his ideas and thoughts, and I remember him saying, I'm not going to quote him, but he says something, and it's live, so I mean it's recorded, so someone can go back and check. But he said that he always goes back to Elizabeth, and he thinks about her as being the center, and then connects her to all the other storylines. And I'm sorry, I'm just saying I've grown to love all the characters.
But Elizabeth is our window into the world, right?
Yes.
Elizabeth, as you've written, have you ever had an actor come to you and say, my character would never do that?
Oh, many times.
And how do you respond to that?
We listen, and usually, 99% of the time, they're right.
Okay.
And we listen. I mean, they inhabit these characters after 10 seasons. Now, it's you have to respect that they own it, right? Yes.
Catherine is asking, what is the year in the show? Is it 1920? Are we approaching 1920?
1920. Season 10 is 1920.
Oh, it is. Okay. All right. Very nice. Okay. Now, I have a question. I would never ask you who's your favorite character, but I would like to know some favorites. Like, do you have a favorite scene, a favorite season, a favorite, I don't know, like setting? I don't know, because it's like a whole world when you're there. Have you been to the set, by the way? Have you walked on set?
I have not. It's just been a very difficult time because of COVID, and because I was working in LA for so long, and now I mean, you may know we're quite shorthanded at the moment
Yes,
because of circumstances.
I
So
do.
there's a lot of work to get done. But I hope to soon. So
Okay.
yes.
So tell me what's something that's been a favorite of yours. And it could be anything. It could be behind the scenes. It could be companionship. It doesn't, whatever. I like hearing this.
There is an episode, I think it was season 7, the final episode of season 7, where it
Okay.
was a Founders Day
Yes.
festival.
Yes.
And there was a little guy, Spencer, there who went missing. Do you remember that?
I
Yeah.
do. I love that actor.
I, I, I look back on that episode as just being kind of a quintessential When Calls the Heart episode. It had a little bit of everything, right? And it had the humor of the guys with the strong man,
Yep.
all of that, and it had the emotion of this poor little guy who'd lost his parents and just found this home, and yet we felt hope for him, that he was in good hands too.
Mm-hmm.
As one of my colleagues said, who started in a later season, we watched that season, that episode, all of us together. He said, "You just want to be there," and I think that is
Yes.
what draws us to the show, right? You just want to live there and be in
Yes.
the community.
That episode really was good. There was a bit of romance and a surprise of where it was going to go. And then there was like a beautiful scene where Rosemary helps the child skins their hands. And then she had that whole little, angst inside of her about being a mom. There was a lot in that. That was a great episode.
There was a lot in that episode,
Yeah.
wasn't there? Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, there have been so many great seasons and so many great episodes, so it's very hard to choose. But I do think season 10 is a terrific season.
Oh, all right. Good answer. Now, Robin has a compliment, or actually it's a combination of compliment, kind of good, great job kind of thing. She says, this season, there is definitely a larger cast presence as community ways versus specific relationships. So interesting to wonder where it is all headed. And it keeps us wanting to see more. So great job. It's true.
Great.
Yeah. We can't wait. Like, what's next? Like Rosemary, what hasn't named her baby? My gosh, how many days is that baby going to go around with no name? It's been 3 weeks. So we learned that 3 weeks had passed. And I was like, 3 weeks, and that's Rosemary doesn't have a name for a baby. Somebody, I have to tell you, I don't know if you saw this. This is hilarious on social media. Someone said that they were just going to call the baby Blanky. And I said, why blank E for Elizabeth?
Oh,
and I was like, well, that's hilarious. That's the greatest.
That is funny. That's very, very funny.
You know what? One of the things that I love about Hope Valley, and you writers are responsible for it, is with each passing year, you adapt the town to whatever the new inventions or technology was in that particular year, the new fashions, and the population of the town increases. I mean, you've now got the ice cream parlor and all the kinds of shops. The town is growing basically, and more people are there. And that is exactly the way a small town grows, or that, the way a small town did grow as time moved on. And so it's really, I think, very realistic in the way Hope Valley has grown.
Oh, good. That's good. Yeah. Remember when before there were telephones in Hope Valley? Remember the telephone?
Absolutely.
I remember the washing machine and the soap suds went everywhere. That was like hilarious.
I just can't understand why Ned is still running the general store. He really ought to be a billionaire by now with all the things he's invented. We keep talking about, he's going to invent the stoplight if he hasn't already, and all the technology that's in town, Ned invented. So we have fun with that.
That's exactly right.
Oh gosh. All right. Now, before we let you go, I have, we've got like 2 questions I want to pose for you. One is from Arlene. What was your first story you wrote as a young writer?
Wow. I'm not sure I can even answer that. I mean, again, I'm older, right? I've been around for a few decades. It's hard to remember. I can tell you the first spec script I wrote.
Yes.
This is way back in the 90s. I was a huge Star Trek fan. So I wrote it before I had been hired by anybody to be a screenwriter. Right. That was the spec script I wrote was an episode of Star Trek, Next Generation. So
Did you know how to write? Like, did you go and learn? Because there's a formula for everything. Did you learn how to do it or did you wing it?
I remember going to a weekend seminar with a very
Gotcha.
brilliant script guru.
Yep.
And I remember sitting there glued to everything he said, thinking, I can do this, you know. I think it was because I'm a big TV fan, right? So it just spoke to me that, okay, I get the structure of this and the dialogue and all of that. So, and then it was a question of writing and writing and writing and getting people to give you feedback, um, and honing the skills.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you didn't give up. So writers can't give up because it's such a small percent that actually get to make a living, you know?
Right, right.
So
I should say, though, that I was in my mid-30s and a mother of two when I started screenwriting. So, right.
oh, look at you.
Kind
That
of
was wonderful.
inspirational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just, if that encourages anyone out there, that's
Yeah. I love that. Good. That was nice to hear that. Lillian says, this is your last question.
Nope, there's going to be one more.
Okay, you can ask it. I'm talking from our guests. Of
Oh.
course,
we
you can
can
ask.
go a bit longer if you want.
Okay. Lillian says, when a character has a shift in personality or behavior, who makes that decision and why?
Do you think, I mean, which writer makes that decision, or what motivates that?
General.
What
Yeah,
motivates
what motivates it?
what they're asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, again, we try to be true to human behavior, and
Okay.
if something has happened, I mean, Rosemary's a good example, right? Through this joyous, longed for birth of this adorable little
Yes.
girl, I
Yes.
think we've seen that it's stirring up a different side of Rosemary that we haven't seen
Mhm.
before.
Yes.
So we talked about it a lot, and it seemed true to the experience of many, many women postpartum.
Mhm.
And we wanted to think about how Rosemary would be affected by that.
That's good. That makes sense. It's
Mhm.
like it's real. It's not like you woke up and tomorrow you totally behave differently. But I will do have to say though, I have seen that characters behave differently from one season to the next.
Hmm.
Like they like for instance, I'm going to put this one out there, not that I'm trying to make controversy. In my mind, because I paid attention to the details, the conversation between Lucas and Elizabeth and about grand gestures, he stopped doing it. Even the way he did her birthday with the single cupcake, he you know, he had hiccups along the way. He proposed in a very simple way. And now all of a sudden we're back to him making these grand gestures, but he should know better. So I don't know how that to me is a
Hmm.
shift that kind of was like, where'd that come from? Do you know what I mean? That as a Hardy, that's how I see that. So sometimes I see that happen from season to season, not within a season though.
To me, that's true to human nature, though. That
Okay.
we are who we are, and we don't change. He's tried to mitigate his behavior, but he is who he is, right? And I
Yeah.
think this is I don't think this is giving anything away. I think in season 10, many characters are having to learn who they really are.
Okay. Okay. I see that so far. Go ahead, Kathy.
And I was going to say that actually is a great companion to the question I wanted to ask, which
Okay.
is, do you consider the show more character driven or plot driven or a combination? Because I was thinking that change with Lucas, and then, there have been other instances, is to serve the plot that, we want to get from point A to point B. And in order to get there, character C has to kind of make a pivot and do something that may be a little out of character. Do you see do you know what I mean? So
Yes.
how does that fit into the world of Hope Valley?
We always tried to tell story from character.
Okay.
Okay.
To
Good.
be true to that character,
Yeah.
who that character is. And well,
Mhm.
having said that, you try to come up with story ideas for characters that challenge them, right?
Sure.
So what would put Lucas on his back foot? What would challenge Elizabeth? So you're looking for stories that, in a way, get at their Achilles heels, I
Mhm.
suppose.
Okay,
And
that
some
makes sense.
circumstances, I guess, make anyone act out of character, so to speak. No pun intended, but
So actually, now that you say that, and I get to think about this and look at what has happened through the episodes, that makes like perfectly good sense because he's excited to give her whatever she wants. And we're just picking on him. We could have picked on anybody. And he's excited to give her what she wants. And so now that they're getting close to marriage, that would be logical that he would want to give her a house with all the things that are in it, right? And then it's when he says to her, "I've done it again, haven't I? I did the big grand gesture kind of thing." And
that's
she's
the
like,
difference. This time he caught himself
"Yes,
and he
yes,
realized he made the, yeah.
yes,
Henry's another example. He seemed to have uh, embraced faith that he had never had before for all the previous seasons. This is at the end of last season. And he asked Joseph to help him, teach him how to pray. And then we came to this season and it had kind of backed up a little, which actually does make sense, especially in the context of you get faith and then you start questioning it. So maybe that's where Harry is. But all that being said, I'm going to take you at your word, Elizabeth, and I'm just going to buckle in for the ride of season 10 and look forward to what's in store for us.
I know." Now, refresh my memory, and I'm embarrassed to say I forgot if it is part of this. Is that hilarious scene with Joseph? Is that in season 4 where Joseph and who was Joseph and Bill meet with Henry in the saloon to say that they are going to help him? Oh my God, that
That's
was my favorite. That was one of my favorites so far. And he's like, "Yeah, you're terrible liars, but I'm going to go with it anyway."
Yeah,
Like, that
yeah.
was great.
I love when the characters you don't expect to be the
I
source of humor are really funny. I love
know.
it when Lucas interacts with the other boys and they just have a total blast.
Yes.
yeah.
Bachelor parties and, you know,
I actually love Lucas Nathan scenes. We don't see a lot of them, but I
I
love
know.
how
And
they.
oh, I'm convinced they're going to end up being besties before it's all over.
she's always said that. I love how Lucas and Hickam have been together and then they make fun of Bill the things that have been going on. I'm like, that's great. I love all of that. So it's good stuff. Um,
Yeah, it's done with such affection too, right? I mean, they all care about each other
it's
greatly.
true. It's what Hope Valley is about. So we're going to end with this lovely comment for you. It's by Robin, and she says, "Thank you so much for sharing everything, Elizabeth, and keep up the good work."
Thank you, Robin. And Hearties, you keep up the good work too. We're listening.
Good. We love it.
And we're watching.
We're watching.
Great. All right.
Thank you for taking the time to
My
spend with
pleasure.
us.
My pleasure. Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good
Bye.
night.
Good night.
Okay,
Well, that
friend.
concludes our evening podcast, right?
No, it doesn't. We got people in here that are foaming at the mouth.
Okay.
We're gonna take care of this spiciness and whatever. So I thought, oh, Elizabeth is amazing. I've seen her in other interviews, and
Elizabeth Stewart.
I can't wait. Pardon me.
Elizabeth Stewart, because you
Yes,
know we've got
yes,
two Elizabeths. Yeah.
and I cannot wait to read her book. So I will definitely be sharing that. Let's see. Oh, it's us. Hello, Kathy. I thought maybe we would take this opportunity for people to go and grab a drink, and we got lots of comments over here. I was hoping
Well,
you would hold
everybody
on.
loved last night's episode. They thought it was wonderful. So I don't know what there is to talk about.
We're gonna have to have some talk in here. Already, Kathy and I are at odds at things, but that's okay. That's what makes this make.
Yeah, we are. We kind
Yeah,
of have
we're
a
not in
difference of
agreement.
opinion.
Yeah. But before we do, I thought I'm going back and forth. You can move it back and forth too. I thought we'll do the challenge. So I did a close up, and I've been very good with making sure everyone gets their prizes. Last week it was Deb who won. So I sent Deb It's a Girl cigar gum candies. It came in this whole little set with an announcement and everything. And I sent that to her. She got that. I thought that was funny because that was appropriate. So let's pick a time wherever you are. Let's do 38. well, wherever it is. By me, it's 8. It will be 8:38, and by some of you, it'll be 7:38 or 6:38, but 38. And this is the photo close up, and the first person at 38 after who gets it correct will be the winner. And then we'll get into our big discussions. I'm starting.
Yeah, Elizabeth didn't write last night's episode.
She didn't. And Lillian, I'm starring what you said. Roxanne, you really let her off the hook. No question about last night's episode. She didn't write that episode. I know that they all have a say in whatever, but she didn't write. That wasn't when I asked her to be on. See, she had the questions before the episode even airs. My peeps have it. So I wanted to talk to her because she had a lot to say. I wanted to understand how the continuity was created. And I wanted to know what the writer's room was like. What about you, Kathy?
I didn't want to challenge her. I mean, we have our guests on to learn more about the show, not to challenge them on anything we think is good or bad or indifferent. So
right.
Yeah, that doesn't promote a friendly feeling of having guests on.
And we attack them.
Yeah, we don't want to be combative. I'll put it that way.
Right. Because as a writer myself, that's like your baby. You know what I mean? And you go put it out there for like Elizabeth's reaction. How she was nervous to read. That was real. Like anybody that's here, a writer, whatever kind of writer you are, you're like, like this is your baby. These people are alive in your mind and you have it one way. And then when it doesn't come out that way, it kind of breaks your heart. Now, of course, everybody needs constructive criticism, but also it's their story to tell and the direction they're putting it in. And we're going to get more into this, but let's see I noticed something else someone wanted to know who wrote that episode. Her name is Ayla, Ayla. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. Glass. And I did reach out to her management, and they responded with they would pass it along because I would love to have her on. I'll tell you what my thinking was, because I didn't even know she wrote this particular episode when I asked her to come on. There have been some hiccups and some wrong information on their press kits. So anyway, coming back to this, she is an editor, like a story editor. And I thought, oh my, she's had her hands in. Well, obviously they all have. I wanted to see what her job was exactly. And I wanted to have her on, but I guess with the writer's strike, they didn't think she would say yes. And I never heard back. That doesn't mean I won't later on. And if we can scoff her up and get her on, that would be great.
But just to talk to her about,
oh yes, her job.
Not to say, how dare you write this episode that aired on such and such. No, that's not the purpose. Hey, is that the camping tent? Is that the right answer?
Yeah, camping tent is the right answer.
Christine Deneau got it.
Who is it?
Christine.
Oh, okay. Christine, you got it. So I'm going to send you a little something. I'm going to send you a tent. No, I'm only kidding. I know, Chris. Chris, you could go camping with Axel. All right, Christine. Christine got it first. Miss Chris. Okay. All right. Now here we go. We're diving in. I want to, Kathy, if it's okay with you, can we hold off? I know a lot of you want to talk about it, but there's a lot that went on in this episode. Can we hold off talking about the whole Lucas and Elizabeth, because we got people that got some strong feelings? Can we hold off on that and talk about some of the other stuff first? Would that be okay, Kathy?
Sure. Sounds good to me.
Okay. So I wanted to point out that Ayla, I guess that's how you pronounce it. I could be saying it wrong. Is that how you would pronounce it? You said, Kathy?
Ayla. I guess it could be Ayla, but I would say Ayla until I know differently.
Glass. Glass is who was the writer of that. And I truly hope that we get to see her and meet with her. That would be so much fun to learn what another job is like. I wanted to talk about Bill and Madeline. Is it Madeline? And by the way, everyone's asking how you spell it. This is how they spell the character's name. Madeleine. That's how she
Oh, I've
spells
always
it.
seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it with a Y. People like are asking, and I'm like, that's how they have it. So, one of my favorite things is how the story begins, or the episode begins, where Bill's going to sit in his his booth, right? And she's already there. And here comes Hickam with his tray, and he says, "Thank you for making my life easier." They synchronized that. Did you see that? Like they passed the sugar and the creamer, and they
Yep.
both dipped in at the same. They were
Or
all
he got it wrong what each of them likes in
yes,
their coffee. Yep.
yes. But the way they did that whole scene, they synchronized, and I was like, "Oh, I love this."
Yep.
I really thought that was
They've
cool.
already gotten into a routine.
Yes, and I'm wondering, hello, how long did it take them to do that episode? I wish they'd hop on and tell us, right? That would be great. Maybe we could put it out there and ask. I don't know if anybody else caught that. I'm going to go back to all your beautiful comments, but my comment too is, did anyone catch that? Okay, I'm seeing all those other things. Robin was saying it was a great conversation with Elizabeth as to learn more about the writers in the show and the background of it all. And we're going to address more of it. Bill is okay. Bill is being an idiot if he sells his land. Nikki is something. She's mad about a lot of stuff tonight. Bill is being an idiot if he sells his land. The water is too important and it will hurt Hope Valley. There are bad things coming for Hope Valley. You think, like, how many times did she say she need? I'm shouting. I'm sorry. How many times did she say she needed with a body of river water on it? And if Bill is such an investigator, and I hope he is, wouldn't he think to himself, why does she need this body of water? Why?
I'm with Nikki. He's an idiot.
Wait, how about the scene? And Kevin is so exceptional in scenes like this, right? And he's like just getting himself ready to go on the camping trip. And Bill stomps in, and Bill says all this stuff, and he tries to talk to him about it. And then he's like, okay, yeah, good talk. Because he leaves him in the middle of it. What he's saying.
Yep.
Good. She said, yes, I caught the switch with the cream and the sugar. It shows how in tune they are with each other. They've had at least 3 weeks to get to know each other at this point. Actually, more, because she's from Kane in the second episode, I think it was. So it's more than 3 weeks. She's been there a while. That's a lot of money. Do you think she got a break from Lucas? She got a better rate because she's there for long term. All right. Viola says Bill is smitten and not thinking straight. And Starla's saying they are going to get rights to the hot springs or drain them from Bill's land. Jan's saying Bill is going to be sorry. He's not thinking of anything other than keeping her in Hope Valley.
He's going to be sorry until she helps them, resolve whatever the issue is. That she's not, I don't think for one skinny minute she's really a bad guy. I think she's being forced to do whatever she's doing.
Something I found interesting about the actress, and I was telling Kathy, is that when a press release comes out, depending upon the storyline, you will see people's positions in the credits on the press release shift. So there have been times where Elizabeth is, Erin is always lead. And there have been times where second would be Jack Wagner and then Pascal, or sometimes it would even be Lucas, especially last season. But the credits that are popping up, did you notice smack dab? Because I was looking, it's Erin for this past episode and the episode before. Erin, Pascal, Jack, and Kevin have been right up front as 1, 2, 3, 4. And then Chris with Kevin and Andrea, and then Martin and Kayla. And right after that is Stephanie, the actress who plays Madeline. And then coming after her is Amanda Wong, Viv Leacock, Natasha, Rothgart, Loretta, Joanna, and Ben. How about that? She's like, right.
It appears that she's around for the long term.
Yes. And is it just going to be for this season? Will she be back next?
Well, I don't know, do I?
Well, the reason why I'm asking is we've had characters on that have been there for I'm just saying, a whole season, and I remember their names being in the credits. I'm gonna have to go back now and go look. If I'm wrong, let me know, people out there. You're all
Okay, we will.
do it. What's this say? Here we go. Yes, Brian saying to you, hi, Brian. Kathy's
Hey,
been
Brian.
missing. Kathy, Bill will turn her into an ally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
bet money
okay.
on it.
Chris, where's Molly and her jealous moves she's done in the past?
They're just friends now.
They are. And Elizabeth Stewart, our guest that was here, said in a different podcast that many of you may have watched with the official Hearties, where she said that they decided to be friends last season. Now, that was never addressed. I never saw that. I watched the last episode. She was excited. She said how she carries a torch. She was excited to tell Faith something, and then Faith got sidetracked because Faith, had her own thing that she wanted to talk about. And I noticed that when Madeline walked into the cafe, she was off watching, but she's been lighthearted and whatever. So I feel that was a mistake somehow. Like somehow that got away
The
from them.
scene got cut, maybe, or
Yes, because the scene where they're riding into, where did he go to get better when she drove him? I love that, where she's like, that would be first. No, that's second gear. No, that. Do you want me to drive? I do not. Remember, where did she take him to? I don't remember which town it was to heal, but I know some of that scene was cut. So maybe we're missing something, but yeah, they're just going to be friends. That's what we heard.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we still haven't seen Molly's daughter come into town, so that may be covered. Yes, she will be coming. It's the press releases are out, and is it 7 and 8? I forget. She's in a couple of. Actually, she should be there to the end. Okay, went to Union City. Thank you to get better. Bill needs his cough medicine after Madeline's true reason for being there comes out. Oh dear Lord, Arlene. Oh my gosh. Yes.
I'd love to see her confess to him before it all comes out, and that's how he finds out.
Christina's saying, does it look like we're going to get any one besides Elizabeth, Rosemary, and Lee in the next episode? Hopefully we'll get some of Lucas and Elizabeth together
at least
by the previews. Yes, and Aaron did say that by the time they got to the middle of the season, there would be a bit of a shift in the relationship. So what else did I wanted to talk about? I love Henry. Now you have a different reaction to Henry, Kathy, right? I loved Henry and his lightheartedness. He actually told 2 jokes, and Elizabeth pointed that out. And I liked his little relationship with Sarah in that part where she had her little hand on his when they were. And go ahead, I want to hear. Come on,
people. I loved Henry being funny because he told 2 jokes, and you could almost hear his spine crack when he said them, because it's like Henry is not used to being funny. So he's coming out of his shell. That's wonderful. I wasn't as enamored with him and little Sarah and her pumpkin plant. I mean, I told Roxanne that the 2 of them should split a container of antidepressant pills. It's like, come on, people, lighten up.
Oh, she said they're too sad and too oh, woe is me. And she had enough.
Yeah.
And people are saying Henry with the kids is really sweet. Henry's scenes with the kids are wonderful. And Kathy's like, no.
It's a little too sweet for my taste. That's all.
Oh gosh. Okay, I really like the camping scene. And I know quite a few people thought we would get to see a lot of bonding between father-daughter, but to me it wasn't that. To me it was like a scene of surprises. It surprised me, and then the dads were surprised because they learned about their girls, and I like that. And I loved what Nathan, whoever wrote Nathan's line for, and I guess Ayla did, for when he says to Joseph, I think saying no is a good thing because you get to really focus on all the things that you said yes to. And I thought, crap, that's a bad word. I ought to live my life like that. The camping scene was cute. We got to see Allie and Angela grow in the relationship. There was a time when they were going to try to make them adversary. You know what I mean? Like, not.
Robert.
I love Robert's not even there. I'm like,
I
girls,
know.
girl power. Get
Yeah.
rid of that man in the middle of the two of you. You know what I mean? You need each other. Think back in the Christmas movie when the orphans were in town. Henry had great patience with the little girl who wouldn't speak. You are correct, and it reminded me like that. Wait a minute. Wait, and there's no way that Joseph and Nathan would fit in those tents. Nathan, Emily said, Nathan giving the advice this season is amazing. First with being a single parent and now with Joseph. Yes, because as Elizabeth was saying, you see him, changing. We get to see him changing and growing, and all of them, all the characters maturing or whatever. He still has his funny sarcasm left in him, which I think is great. Now, Kathy, tell me about this, because I know how a lot of people here feel. People were so annoyed that the conversation about little Jack was with Nathan and not Lucas. And I'm thinking to myself, it wasn't like she sought him out. She was in the middle of helping out Pascal, dumping water, and he comes by. He lives in one of the row homes, and they have a quick conversation. And she says to him, like, when did Allie start asking questions? And he goes to explain, because both of them are raising children.
That's what they have in common.
Yes.
Lucas could not have answered that question.
No, and she truly was just asking the question, and it was him. And of course she did have a conversation later with Lucas about little Jack. They had a conversation, and Lucas had a conversation with her, but I felt that it was fine.
I don't see a lot of uproar when Elizabeth has a conversation with Bill or Hickam or Lee. It's just because she's having a conversation with Nathan, and it's like, come on, folks. It doesn't, I don't get what the angst is with that. They're friends.
And if anything, and I know people who think otherwise, when I was first introduced to the character of Nathan, that is all that he really had bonded with her. Of course, yeah, he was a Mountie, and that attracted her to make her think of her husband, but they always were connected because of his niece/daughter. Always talk. She was constantly giving him advice. Sometimes he didn't want to hear it, and he was like, no, that didn't happen. And then he was, so.
And there's also, when they're talking together, you no longer hear the little music cues or see the little looks on their faces, like with Elizabeth, like, oh, this is awkward. And with Nathan, it's not, oh, I love you so much, but you won't pay attention. It's none of that.
Nope.
There's no subtext. It's just two friends talking about something that they have in common.
Yep.
It's a non-issue to me, but
right. I like it. Wait a minute. We need to see growth. They're growing. That's just normal, right? I know.
That's it.
I agree. I love that Kevin got to sing. I love that they're all singing. And then I see there's going to be a choir coming up. So that's cool. And they had said,
I wonder who'll play the piano. Could it be Angela?
You know what I love? That they said there would be singing in this season, and we're getting it in different ways than we thought we were going to get it, which is cool. Emily's saying Elizabeth asked Nathan because he's the only one that has the most similar experience. Allie was 4 when Colleen died, and that's about the age of LJ now. And that, yes, I'm totally agreeing with you. Let's see. Gloria saying, with Nathan, the focus is no longer around Elizabeth. He is his own person with his own stories, which is so much better than having him be a plant in Elizabeth's universe. Yes. His whole life is revolving. All right. Grammy Rose, hi. Oh, somebody said they couldn't wait to hear my infectious laugh. Yeah, that's hilarious. I love when people say that. Roxanne, what is your thought of Chris saying Lucas is going to have a big obstacle like he never has before? He didn't really did he really say it that way when he was interviewed? I think his obstacle is himself trying to figure out. So you, Kathy, had strong feelings, but we're not going there yet. We're not ready. Tell me something else that you want to talk about besides this Lucas and Elizabeth thing that we're going to attack. What do you think?
It's what, like I said to Elizabeth, I'm really enjoying the town. and how the town is growing in almost every single way.
Right.
People, technology, new shops, new ways of doing things. They're introducing new concepts almost like in real time. And
Yes.
the women are independent, and um, May and Fiona were in the pharmacy and talking about the face mask. It was great to see May talking about her grandmother, and kind of talking about how people perceive her, and that's why she marketed the face
Mhm.
mask a certain way. And then I just love it. And then having the woman come in and go, "Oh, what's that? Oh, okay, I want to do a face mask too. Make sign me up." It's good to see women being independent and having their own businesses and their
Yes.
own lives. And I'm hoping all the young people are paying attention. All the young girls are paying attention. I was hoping to get more of the storyline with, oh gosh, I can't think of his character name. Harry. Is that his character's name?
Henry? Oh, Harry, the bandit.
Yeah. I was hoping we get a little more insight into his
We will.
oh, I'm sure. I'm just
Yeah.
saying my impressions of last night. Um, yeah, I overall I thought it was a good episode. I wasn't knocked off my socks, but I think that isn't what that episode was intended to do. It was just push the storyline along to get us where we need to get by end of season.
But because it's like a balance of, we had whoo crazy excitement in episode 4, and now 5 is like, you can't have like crazy, like when you're writing a story, it can't be constant like that. It has to have ebb and flow. Something interesting about Rosemary and Lee that I really I liked was that well, that, not that I didn't like it, I thought it was insightful for what's to come. It's going to lead to something. So Elizabeth and Lucas walk into their house, and I love how comfortable that they are. Even Lucas now, he's like, and they even say we're family. So he's in their house, and they want to take over and help, and they're like, oh, because they're embarrassed by what they look like and whatnot. But I love that the two girls, like Lucas says, I want you to go out to dinner and have a date night, and Lee's like, a date night, like he's, and then they shoot him down. The two girls just take over that whole conversation, turn it all around. And what the guys wanted, they did not listen to them. Neither of what they had wanted. And they have a say. I mean, back in the day, men did not take a big part in raising a newborn or babies at all. But in this, that Lee is.
Right.
So his feelings, he's tired. What he wants is just as important. And Lucas, what he wants from Elizabeth. So those two girls are, well, you don't want to leave the baby. You might not want to leave the baby. You're down the street. You're not 90 miles away. Okay.
Right.
You got to at some point get over that. And I think that is going to lead to something. There's going to be a point where the men are, and their romantic relationship is going to need, they're too involved in work, having a baby, all that, both of them. I'm talking about both couples.
Right.
And I think that's going to come to a head, which segues into Lucas and Elizabeth. Okay, Kathy, take it away, because I yammered a lot, and then we're going to see what everybody's saying here. Go ahead, talk away.
I've just seen a lot of unhappiness about the Lucas and Elizabeth scenes, and I don't feel that way. I feel like it's not always going to be unicorns and rainbows for those two. They were the focus of attention for nearly 3 entire seasons. And this is an ensemble show. This is not the Elizabeth show. It's not the Elizabeth and Lucas show. There are several people that, they have to write storyline for. So you're not going to see them all the time. And Lucas, people make progress and then they backslide a little bit. But he learned from his experience. He could have just kept on going with the house, but he got input from people and he thought about it, and he told her what he was planning before he did it. That's huge for Lucas. The old Lucas would have just started construction and had the whole place built before she knew what hit her. So, I think that was, I didn't come away with a negative feeling about Lucas and Elizabeth. And I really don't want anyone to be perceived as being as negative as some of the TN fans, to put it delicately, but I don't have one not a smallest iota of fear that anything is happening to their relationship, except that the relationship is going to continue to evolve and grow. And again, it doesn't stay unicorns and rainbows all the time. As they become more, as their relationship becomes more mature
And serious.
and serious, things happen. Poop happens, and they're going to disagree, and then they're going to make up. But nothing is going to stop the Lucas and Elizabeth train.
No, and people are like, "Oh, if they switch it, I'm done." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah, come on.
Like, okay, so I said to Kathy, I highlighted Emily's comment because I thought it was a good comment, and I'm just leaving it there because we had already talked about that, and I forgot to highlight it. But I said to Kathy, I'm a little disappointed, and I'm very open-minded. I like to hear other people's perspectives. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I'm sorry. There's a comment. I can no longer highlight the comments, but there's one that I wanted you to highlight. It's Tanya at 9:01 p.m.
Tanya. Okay, we'll get to Tanya's. I know I'm going to read a couple of things people sent me too, but no names. I would never out you in any way. So, I called up Kathy, or she called me, whatever. And I said to her, I thought we already said, we already said that he's not supposed to do these big gestures, but I don't get why. When did that happen to Elizabeth? The Kathy goes, do you remember that conversation? And I'm like, I do remember the conversation they had, but I don't get why. With him, she can't. Jack did it. Jack bought land and surprised her. Jack built while she was away, fixed the school. Jack donated the money. Jack did this, and she's like, yeah, well, she was what did you say to me? Because you were right.
She was young. She was like in her early 20s. Mm-hmm. And this was first love, new experience. Mm-hmm. She hadn't melded into the community the way she has now. She didn't have as much invested in Hope Valley as she does now.
And she's different. And she told him all that from the get-go. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'd said I wanted to ask this of Elizabeth Stewart, because why would he, if he knew this, suddenly make that gesture? And she's right when she said, because that's who he is. And it's like in his, backslide, that kind of thing, whatever, human.
I've seen a lot of comments about, she had the nerve to call him a dreamer. That was so negative. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, he threw a humongous Christmas party for the entire community and the area surrounding. He had fire lanterns going up in the sky. He got a hot air balloon for her. Which part of that says he's not a dreamer? She's right. He's always been a dreamer. That's his thing. That's his shtick. So why is anyone surprised that she recognizes that?
Yeah. Christine is saying that people say if you are marrying the man of your dreams, you don't need a guy best friend. I don't think she is a guy best friend. Yeah.
I didn't have a guy best friend.
Yeah. And I don't know about that because I have a guy best friend. So we grew up together and we're like tight. So I think, I don't know. Okay. Let's see. All right. So people are mad. Let's hear it. I'm hearing it. Where is it? Give me Tanya's stuff.
She says, it isn't about unicorns and rainbows. It is about Elizabeth being out of character and downright selfish. One person's selfish is another person's. She's a woman who's making herself clear. Is she supposed to just swallow her and, her, I don't want this, and move into the mansion? What's wrong with her saying, this is not what I want? She's proven so many times in so many ways how much she loves this man. So I don't know why being honest about the fact that she doesn't want a mansion is selfish. I truly don't get that. I'm not trying to be contrary.
I hope, and I can see why people think it would be selfish. I would hope that Lucas would say, okay, this is what I would like, because we haven't heard anything that he would like other than this is my dream to live in this town. And so there's got to be, it's always about what she wants. It really is. It's his fault for, because he always wants to cater to what she wants. And he has to say, if he wanted a different house, but it was all about, oh, she'll need this, that, and this. He should say to her, I get it. Okay, this is your home. Rosemary's right next door. I mean, they could have resolved this storyline and said they built a house together, because Lee always said he would, but there's no space for that. Put an addition on, change the house up a little bit. He should have a say in his home.
Who said they're done with the conversation?
Right, that's what I mean.
Only in episode
Yes.
4 of
Yes.
the 10th season.
Yes.
Who said they're not going to have that conversation?
Exactly. And I'm waiting for that to happen, and I think it will. I think that's what it is. He's always
compromise. It's going to end up being a compromise.
Yes. We need to see that. We need to see more of that, because right now we aren't. Yeah. That's what that is.
And I think that's going to be part of the obstacle they face. Not so much an obstacle, but coming to terms with the fact that they're going to need to compromise on some stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to highlight this. Look, I don't even normally address this because it annoys me. Not you, Christine, but this whole thing. It's because some get so excited about Nathan and Elizabeth and saying the show is going to flip. This upsets many people. It shouldn't upset no one. It doesn't upset me. When I look at that stuff, I always say to myself, you're a student in my class, and this is what I say. There's a difference with opinion and then being flat out wrong. And I did a whole video on this. It's my opinion. Yeah, but there's also, look at the storyline. It's got to be plausible. No, it's not plausible. We've already gone there. She made a decision and we're done. Now, I would be upset if, everything's pie in the sky. Look at how long Lee and Rosemary have been together, and their relationship's not always pie in the sky. They're at each other. They've had hiccups and all kinds of things along the way. You can't imagine that they're just going to be so passionate in love and whatever. They're going to have hiccups along the way. How could you not? And it's realistic. So I don't care what those people that say what they're saying, they don't even know what's in the show. And if you're here, I'm sorry, you pay attention to the storyline. Now, I would be mad if I did see a flip. I'd be like,
where did that come from?
There are no signs for a flip anywhere. What? That's weird. So I'm not worried about the flip, but I'm eager to see where it goes from there. Let's see. I'm just looking at what other people are saying. Chris said that during the interview. I think his obstacles comes with when he was doing Grease Rise of the Pink Ladies, what the governor's really up to and how he's going to handle it. And I think he has money in the UC holding company. Yes. There are things coming down the road, like Elizabeth was saying, that was political. And there are some things that I think the whole
embrace everybody or several people in town. And I'm hoping that will be a vehicle for Henry to make his final leap towards self-forgiveness. If he can play a role in that, in saving the town or preventing whatever the governor is up to.
Yeah. Tanya's saying that the promos tease the TN fans into having hope. It's not so much just the promos, it's what they say. So, and we've said this before, what Hallmark does is not what the family of When Calls the Heart would always agree upon, but their hands are tied. And I know because in a very professional and kind way, John Tinker said, I love Hallmark, but they don't always, and this is me saying, and you can find him in one of his videos last year that he did, they don't always do they're always not on the same page. So you do see promo stuff that says stuff like that, like, oh, what's going to happen, and make it, and
it's somebody's job.
Yes.
They call it marketing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you call it stirring the pot. They had probably the most press, the most talked about back in season 7 and 8, when it was, Team Nathan against Team Lucas or whatever. all that died down, or most of it died down after season 8. And so some bright young thing is probably salivating, thinking, I got to get something going again. There's not enough buzz, and they're trying to get buzz going. So they come up with these misleading um, marketing ploys. And anyone who's been paying attention and watching the story knows it's not going to happen. That's just, it is. It's just downright misleading. That's my opinion. But I think that's where this is coming from.
Yeah.
Someone's trying to create buzz out there, and the poor people who actually believe it, I feel bad for them, but give it up.
Yeah. Robin saying Lucas also now has all that wood and no home to build. And yes, they're definitely not happy currently, and lots of emotions from their past that is no longer coming out, and they need to work through it. He could build a house and someone else could buy it. He could do whatever.
Build a hotel. He could do anything. I don't think they're unhappy.
He could take that wood and add it to a part of their house. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah,
the story hasn't unfolded, So Kathleen says she wants to know, Bro and Kathy, why do you think Elizabeth seems to be shutting down everything that Lucas wants, or even having any consideration for his feelings or things?
I don't read it that way.
And I do, to an extent, but I think it's because he has not voiced himself to say that it wasn't like, listen, I want you to think about this. These are some things that I would like, how do you feel? Instead it was, I'm going to build her a house and it's going to have every new appliance and all the most, like it was all about her. And she's like, but I don't want any of that. I like being right here. Don't take me away from, remember how Rosemary got in a panic? No, we have to be together. And there was a time when she was going to have a house on a hill. Rosemary was herself, So I think that it's because he allows that. He's never really said what he wanted, other than he wanted to be there living in that town and please her. Because she questioned him last year, you want some big, great adventure? And he's like, this is my adventure. So it seems like it, and it's making us upset, which is good writing.
Not us.
Yes, well, and I say us.
Us.
I'm doing a universal us. It's making many people upset, which is good because that's good writing. And like you said, we haven't seen the rest yet. It's still coming,
And when Lucas is truly upset, he lashes out. We've seen it once. And if he gets to that point again, he's going to lash out and let her know exactly how he feels.
Yeah.
It's going to be the end of that.
And then he'll come. He's also the first to apologize. He always comes.
And he has nothing to apologize for. It's like, I shared my feelings.
Yes.
Maybe I should apologize for the way I did it, because he was kind of mean, but he had nothing to apologize for in what he said, in sharing those feelings. So yeah, I don't think we're anywhere near the end of this. And he also, he's not shy when he doesn't like something. I mean, I'm thinking of other examples. I mean, when she kept from him that his parents were separated, he was not a happy camper, and he let her know that. When she went and hugged Nathan at the end of one of those seasons, he definitely wasn't happy about it. He just left town. So, he's capable of, letting her know when he's feeling like, okay, we need to just stop and rewind. So I have every confidence that they will get to this point. It's just not going to happen all in one episode.
Right.
A whole season to get through.
We have some good comments too. I'm going to highlight. Jan saying somehow E is going to realize how she reacted towards Lucas and his hopes and his feelings. Like you're saying, I really think they're going to have a conversation soon. Let's see. I like this comment. I want to see Lucas grow with the other characters and develop as a town leader. And I think he has the possibility. Yeah. This is good. Elizabeth had to correct herself to include Lucas in talking about my house versus our house. Life is changing for her too. We will see them grow, and I don't think the topic is done yet. I agree. Yes.
Excellent point.
Yes. And Robin, exactly like writer Elizabeth said, the characters are having to grow and along the way learn to compromise, etc., as real life relationships work. And yes, it's true. I just can't see him living in the row house. We don't know where he lives. What the heck? Yeah. Let's see. Nikki saying, yes, Kathy, but Elizabeth could have been more considerate of his feelings. He was excited about the new home. She should have at least asked him about it and asked to see the plans.
That's just encouraging
You
him.
know
I
what?
think she's interested.
I know, but and that's her. When she is so afraid, she's not nice. We've seen it with Rosemary, where she was so afraid. Remember, she want to hear what Rosemary had to say. She wasn't nice. She'll come out of it. You know what I mean? This is like she's not always Little Miss Perfect. We're making her human. We're making us see a side of her that's not perfect, right? Yeah.
As Barney Fife used to say, nip it in the bud.
I think Elizabeth needs to be there for Rosemary and she will need help her through her stuff with her mother. Yes, I'm actually very interested in that. What do we think she's going to name the baby? I have an idea, but I feel like maybe if we learn more about her mom, you don't think her mother has died. You think her mom's alive. You said that from the
Absolutely.
get-go.
Absolutely. I believe it.
We're going to meet her, you said.
Yep.
Okay.
And,
So,
I don't know. I think we've already seen on the canvas. I think that, what is Stephanie's character's name?
Madeline.
I think Madeline is going to be the catalyst for more than just one story. I think by the time all is said and done, we're going to see a lot of intertwining stories going on there. Possibly Rosemary's mother.
Isn't there one called Mother and Child?
Could be.
Yeah. Starla says, I don't mind the drama, but they have flipped the interaction with ENL on its head. They don't even have goodnight kisses and can't read each other at all. I don't know that.
I don't think they flipped.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know about that. Okay. I think Rosemary.
Just going back to that, I think deep down Lucas knew. I think he was reading her quite correctly because he came out with it. He didn't wait till he built that house. He told her what he was planning to do. He knew that she was not going to go for it.
Right. Lillian, I have two things I wanted to read too before we wrap this up. Lillian says, I don't need unicorns and rainbows, but I wasn't happy with how Elizabeth told Lucas, this is my home, and then added our home almost as an afterthought. Yes, that's why I think there's more that's going to come out of this. I think that she is being, I think this is on purpose because it's human. You know, she's not, who is perfect? You know what I mean? Nobody's perfect and sweet.
Bill.
Me. No. All right. This is an interesting thing. Because there's a comment somebody sent me and I'm going to read it because I screenshot it, but I won't release the name. Why would he want to live in the house that her and Jack lived in? So I brought that up and I find that interesting because how long did she and Jack live in it? Like a week. That is where
together a couple of days.
They had their honeymoon. Okay. There is I know that's more her house, but he helped her put it together. He helped her get it. Like I get that, but this was somebody wrote, please tell the writers to take down the picture of Elizabeth and Jack in the stairway and move it to Jack's room. And I said this to Kathy, and I said I kind of agreed. I agreed that that part of her life is always going to be there. I get it. I don't think it needs to be on the wall because she has moved on from it, but it would be great to be put in little Jack's room. And what was your response to that, Kathy?
I disagree. I mean, right. That was a fact of her life. That's part of her past. It's not a threat. I mean, it's not like he's going to forget or anybody's going to forget that she was married to Jack. So why would they need to put it in the room?
Okay.
I don't get that. I'd put it on the mantle. If they ever have a fireplace, I'd put it on the mantle along with the other pictures of beloved family members, because that's what he was.
Okay. All right. Grammy Rose, I'm hoping Elizabeth will show a bit more concern for Lucas's feelings. I did like Elizabeth Stewart saying Lucas's character is a dreamer, and that's who he is. Grammy Rose, can I tell you, I am so happy that you spelled Lucas because it's possessive, Lucas with an apostrophe, and you didn't add an S
Although that's
because
also correct.
because that's perfect. And apostrophe is to show um possession, and not the apostrophe S if it ends in an S. Thank you, Grammy Rose. That
That's
made
old school thinking.
it's not old school thinking.
Yeah,
Shut
it
up.
is.
No. All right, Tanya. Tanya's on a roll. Perhaps Lucas talking about a house on the hill reminded her of the fact that Jack never got to finish their dream. I was thinking that. And it kind of put her in a panic. No? Eh.
Jack made proactive decisions. It's not like, oh, I'm going to stay here with you, and then somehow he got killed. He made decisions to do what he did, and it didn't work out. And I do believe that the closer they get to the wedding, the more Elizabeth's going to freak out a little bit, because the concept of it and the being in love is one thing. The actual putting the past behind you and moving on is something else. And little Jack's questions are all just feeding into this. So I think she's going to have some anxiety as they lead up to the wedding. And I think that's what will lead to them finally hashing it out as to what's going on, how each of them really feel. And I think with these writers, I think it could be a brilliant scene if it's handled correctly.
So I'm going to say something that's controversial, and some people are going to get upset by it, but this is just me and my feelings since I've been watching from the beginning. I love Jack. Loved him with Elizabeth. When he died, I was like, you know the story. I'm not watching this. I already talked about this, right? And then I saw who was coming on and I was excited. So the character of Jack, he and Lucas have a lot of similarities in that they're sort of like a Renaissance man where they love art. There's more to them than just one. They're like wonderful and tuned with whatever. I see that attraction, and I'm glad, because people are attracted to that, not the same human, not because of their job, but their underlying characters. But Jack, because of his job, never put Elizabeth first. She was never first, ever. His job was first because he was serving his country. And I get that. So when you marry a man, or or a woman who these days, that's their first, that's who they serve first. And then, but that's not the way with Lucas. Lucas, his first priority is Elizabeth. And that's why I enjoy their relationship more than I enjoyed her relationship with Jack.
Yeah.
I think both have equal chemistry. Both actors have equal chemistry, but I enjoy her relationship with Lucas better. Elizabeth is struggling with memories of Jack building her a house. I agree with all of that. Many Lucas fans feel fans like Lucas's grand gestures. It's real. They might like it, but that's not who the way the storyline's going. Do you know what I mean? They've already addressed those issues, and they're moving on from that. But building a house is not dreamer material. The house he wanted to build, that's being a dreamer. It was a castle and it was on a special ridge, and it was having every thing that you could imagine in it. So that's being a dreamer. There are many people who don't ever get a home. My mother's dream was to have a home. That, like, owning a home was like a dream for her. Some people, don't get that. Let's see. This is important. Has Elizabeth ever even asked Lucas if he wants to live in the row house? I don't know. I don't think he does. The new home is a chance for a fresh start. Lucas is a dreamer and a visionary. That's why we love him. Right. And I think they're going to come to a compromise. The hot air balloon was already there. Yep.
Well, I know it was already there, but he was like, we're going on this. He took her for the ride in it.
I'm thinking they're talking about Nathan being a guy best friend. I don't see her sharing. The only person she shares her feelings with and her true feelings is Rosemary. Nobody else. Yeah. Maybe he'll remodel the row house and put it in the newest things. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. It did not have to be a mansion. True. Something he wanted though. Why am I seeing all big caps? I would like to see Lucas share what he wants. Yep, we know, Grammy. We're agreeing with you. I don't think it will be a mansion. It will be a lovely home that they both agree on. I think they will. As he needs to express his love, his true feelings versus always accepting her words. It's true. She hasn't considered how he would feel about living in the house she shared with Jack. She will. It's all going to
For the
come up.
entire week.
Pardon me?
For that entire week.
Yeah. Somebody wrote this, and then we'll go with those others. Oh, the Hardy Observer's here. I want to see what she has to say. My wish is that they will devote as much time to Lucas and Elizabeth's wedding and prep as they have to Lee and Rosemary's baby. And I think that's true. That's why they had that so early on in the season. I agree. It is a momentous occasion, as is the Eleni wedding. I do hope Lucas and Elizabeth get a counseling session with Pastor Joseph. You have strong feelings about this. I know, Kathy. I want to hear his real emotions and feelings and see Elizabeth think more about them, which is what we've all been saying here. In reality, you can't put either spouse on a pedestal, which he has done with her. I'm just done with the talk of Lucas being a dreamer and a poor text. Being a dreamer can be a great thing. They just need to learn to compromise and give and take on both sides. And that's true. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Cindy says, my issue was there should have been deeper communication between them. They needed to express their feelings and opinions in a better way. Hopefully they will. You're right. I feel like when they were dancing and he was, dancing with her and let's dance, and that was all sweet. And she could have very easily said, I don't know, Lucas. I really don't think I want, instead of she was like, oh, and it's our house and it's this and it's my house and it's, like carried on. But again, that's how Elizabeth behaves when she's in panic mode. So they're just being in keeping with her character. Christina's saying she believes it'll work out. Okay. What's hard to say? No one actually believes that there will be a flip. Oh, that's because I love you, Teresa, and you're a smart girl. But there are people that believe there'll be a flip. There are people that believe that the big obstacle is going to be Jack and he's coming back. And I just wrote to a woman and I said, not back from the dead. That's a different kind of show. Like, no, it's just bringing up a lot of old feelings for Nathan fans, especially since his love story is non-existent so far. Yes, but
the walking Wincom.
And Teresa, that's because you are thinking and you're paying attention and it's plausible. But there really are people out there. I mean, I have people that send me hate mail because they're like, I guess because of it says everything about Hallmark, like the things that they send me. Oh, you fell for the corp. I don't know. They send me crazy stuff. And I'm like, why? I got to block you. I love all the characters. Block. Obviously you haven't listened to everything I had to say, but there are some people out there that do. But for the most part, you're correct. It's not all of them. It's just a few loud voices as the lion's den, that's what Brian always says. There's a few that are so vocal and that people feed into that garbage. And it did bring up some feelings for Nathan fans, but I never ever for 1 second ever thought, and I was not even knew about the triangle and the war. I wasn't even on social media for this. Never for 1 second ever thought that she and Nathan would be together. I told you that from the get-go for me when I saw the stuff. What is this? The writing is on the wall. They will be getting married. Just bumps along the road like true life. Gloria Drake. Yes, it seems like Eleni, they've written of scripts, is not as affectionate this season and they're engaged. I hope he will make the house different. So, okay. Their family needs room to grow. Everyone's saying the same thing where they didn't like. Yep. Grammy's saying she knows they're going to get married. There's no flippity dip. All right. Go ahead. What do you want to say, Kathy? You're quiet before we
Nothing. I'm agreeing to the last several comments.
Gloria's saying, "Hi, ladies. I hope they will make the difference so it could feel like home for Lucas because she lived in this along with Jack, so she should give in and think about Lucas." I know, but she lived in there for all of 3 days when we think about that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Lucas was raised by a domineering mother who always got her way and learned early to keep the peace. So he never pushes back on Elizabeth until he flips out.
With a few exceptions. Yeah. If you push him too hard, he flips on you.
Yeah. And yes, it took one night, overnight, and then it didn't drag on. Like Elizabeth finally said, it wasn't like 5 episodes later, right?
Yep.
What's this? They're talking to each other. Hey, Lillian, Axel will just stick his tongue out more than he clearly does. Oh, they're talking about her puppy dog. Okay. In all new marriages, they have to come together to figure out where they will live. Listen, I am like excited to see the storylines, Kathy, of them married.
Yeah.
Aren't you?
Absolutely. And get prepared, folks. The PDAs are going to not be more as they go on and grow into their married life. They're going to be less. You are far between.
What about Rosemary and Lee? They just do that little quick kiss. They're not super passionate, although Elizabeth's character is always super passionate. Like she's typical.
Yeah, but you can't. That's not sustainable. That's that's for a certain phase of your relationship, and as you get more secure and build a relationship, oh look who's talking, and build a relationship. I
don't want to hear that. Grand passion isn't there. I remember.
I didn't say the passion wasn't there. I said they're not going to be showing it.
Okay. I remember. Oh, Valerie. Okay, I remember Rosemary telling Elizabeth that when E and L get together, that they will have to keep each other's feelings in mind. She did.
Rosemary and Lee, you said they were just doing the, but they ended up a little blanky, didn't they? So there was stuff happening. It just wasn't on camera. And that's all I'm saying about Lucas and Elizabeth.
But I know, but they're, oh my God, I love that you said that and you called them Blanky, her Blanky. It's great. I don't think Lucas actually bought the lumber. It was just an appraisal.
So he knew deep down that he needed to talk to her, which is a good thing. I really like that about him.
We better not meet. Oh, you don't want to meet Rosemary's mother before you meet Lucas's father?
Well, maybe they'll show up and they're married to each other.
Oh, God. When Elizabeth's talking about Rosemary and her babies upstairs sleeping, was she talking about Rosemary's baby and Jack, or Rosemary's baby and baby no, she was talking
Rosemary and little Blanky and Jack.
Sleeping next to each other upstairs, and they loved it. And that's why
they might as well get used to it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We are tired. Are we tired? It's time to wrap this show up. It says, "Hi, ladies. I think you're right. Here, Elizabeth need reminder here that this is the house that she and Jack built." The house that Jack built. Lived in. I'm only kidding. You said live. I said that. I wouldn't think that Lucas would ever think that this was their home. Oh, I don't know.
He would.
Pardon me?
I think he would.
I think he would too.
We spent more time in that house than Jack ever did.
He has. He even slept over. And
yeah, he's on the sofa, but yeah.
Yes. All right. Okay, girls. Look.
And Brian.
No. I didn't mean it like that. There's more than one man here. Gentlemen, I was saying, okay, I'm watching
nicknames, the screen names you can't tell.
I know. I'm watching. When I say, okay, girls, I'm talking about the girls talking to each other right here and saying to each other whatnot. Panic, absolutely. Tanya, with your capital letters.
Are you upset with us?
Elizabeth is behaving poorly, but there are reasons. All right, I'm just looking. Now they're talking to each other. Okay, so I don't have to highlight what everyone's saying.
I like Robin. She said Kathy is right, but I don't know what I'm right.
Oh, Robin, we have to show that off because, and they're saying yes to Roxanne. I agree with Roxanne. Thank you. But where are they saying?
Thank you, Robin, for agreeing with me, and Christine for agreeing with me.
Where is that? Show me.
Robin is 933.
Hold on. You're ahead of me. I'm not even there yet. Okay. Now, and I don't know why you lost the power to highlight stuff. We're gonna have to figure that one
Story of my life.
out. How could you not be passionate with a man like Lucas? Romance, love, and PDA. Yum. You gals are cute. Okay. Where he put his extensive. Okay. All right. Love you, ladies. Kathy is right though.
But what am I right about? I'll take it. I'll take
All of it. Look, Christine saying, yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. All right.
Brian said, I'm here. I'm avoiding the fray. Okay.
Okay. They're telling us thank you for hosting.
Thank you
I
guys for
truly look
coming.
forward to you both as much as I look forward to show each week. You do? Oh, sometimes I think who wants to hear our voices anymore? Sometimes I get tired of my own voice. Oh God.
I know that feeling.
Yes.
I love you more than my luggage.
Oh my God. I would say that to my students. I'm like, boys and girls, I don't feel like talking anymore. And they're like, oh, thank God. I said, I'm tired of my own voice. And they're like, oh, thank you, Mr. Enns. It's like they go right with it. I know. I get it. I can't take myself after a while. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I eat lunch by myself and they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, I just, nobody wants me.
I can't.
Nobody wants me near them. I don't even want to be by myself, like alone. Good night, everyone.
Good night, all. You all have a wonderful week. We'll see you next week, and hopefully we'll have a lot more positive stuff to talk about because it's going to be a fabulous episode.
Put my feelers out. I don't know, see who else we can rope in to join us. And if you're Republic of Doyle fans, see us on Thursday. And we have guests coming. Oh my gosh. We have all kinds of guests coming and wonderful people to meet. So we're excited.
Yep.
All right. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.